Yeah. But I need the mic. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, I know, but still we need the mic. Thanks for coming. So, yeah. Okay. So I hope everybody's back and survived the not that death march, but sweat march perhaps. Yeah. Okay. Thanks for coming back. I hope you talked about the movies you saw most during dinner. We will have this a bit later, and we start now with collaborate with to innovate. And I give the floor to Florian.
Thank you, Matthias. Just waiting for us to go full screen. Oh, wonderful. So good morning, everyone. Well, good afternoon, actually. We just had lunch. So I'm gonna talk today about collaborate to innovate. It's in its early inception, collaborate to innovate has been laid out by Europa Cinema to collectively create ways out the COVID-19 crisis and to encourage new approaches to connect European films to their audiences. Initiated by Europa Cinema. I'm too far from the mic? Oh, sorry. I'm gonna move a little bit. So, as I was saying, initiated by Europa Cinema with the support of the European Commission through Creative Europe Media in 2021, the core aim of Collaborate to Innovate is to develop projects, prototypes that have the potential to be shared and extended across the full diversity of our network. After the shock of the pandemic crisis, it had become evident that innovation and cooperation were more important than ever for all of us. That's why Europa Cinema earmarked 1 million euros for this brand new scheme to encourage and help network exhibitors to invest in pilot initiatives led at a national level or at a European scale through an annual open call. So here you can see the main aims and goals of Collaborate to Innovate. I'm not going to read them all, but it's really important to stress out the solidarity among exhibitors that is required to develop this project, because it's even before innovation, it's about the partnership that you're building with each other, and we really try to encourage these partnerships and innovation collaboration with the aiming goal of boosting the circulation and visibility of European film and bringing people back into the cinemas. One of the important goals also I want just to highlight in this list is, as some of you have, I'm bringing closer to the mic, as some of you have described when they presented their own initiatives, how important it is to develop new skills and assets for your own cinema and team. So I will not get into all the criteria on which applications are assessed and selected. You can find all that on our website through the guidelines. But I just want to address a few key points here. So Collaborate to Innovate is exclusive to network members, and applicants can apply for up to 100,000 euros per project. The first eligibility criteria to meet is obviously collaboration. And what you can see on this map is that the countries are being categorized in different, well, categories, obviously. And it's going to define if your project, depending on which country you're from, how many partners you need to find to build your project, be it national or international. The financial contribution of Europa Cinema cannot exceed 70% of overall investment for Sorry, something's wrong with my screen. I'm back. So as I was saying, Europa Cinema contribution cannot exceed 70% of all investment for projects led by A and B countries, and 80% for project and partners from C and D countries. So here you have an example of the type of project you can develop, the kind of categories of topics you want to tackle. But the first question you have to ask yourself is, what is innovation? Innovation, it must represent a process that has the potential to change the approach of cinemas to audience engagement within national context. National context is key here, or across the whole Europa network. The question you need to ask yourself when you want to present a new project, for example, is it a significantly new practice for all cinemas in the network, or is it something new that is based on a prototype that's been tried in a few cinemas and can profit and benefit the rest of the network? Or another possibility is that it could be something new for some of the partner cinemas in the project. So those are all the questions you need to ask yourself. And I want to stress out that what really set up Collaborate to Innovate for success is the way the guidelines have been developed. So in December 2020, Europa Cinema invited, alongside representative of our steering committee and board, 13 exhibitors from the network to be part of this innovation working group and to ensure an inclusive, collaborative approach to the development of this program. And their role was to advise on the shape and objectives and outcomes of the project. But the key point here is that this program has been developed by exhibitors for exhibitors. So really trying to catering to your need and your challenges. The call for our application in 2021, you have a few numbers and information here. I'm not going to read all of it. We tried to communicate inside the network and outside the network to bring awareness about this new scheme to the most people possible. And you've probably heard about it at the time. And maybe some of you here attended the Zoom session we had in 2021. We had a series of 7 Zooms in April, and they were we tried to do them by category of countries and region to bring more homogeneity to the meeting, and they were hosted in the 5 languages we use at Europa Cinema: in English, French, Spanish, Italian, and German. And they were quite successful because we had like groups from 50 to almost 100 participants. So it really shows the interest and the potential that this program could have for all of you. The selection process, it starts with a monitoring done by Europa Cinema's team. So in 2021, we received 32 applications, as you can see, coming from 24 different countries. And the monitoring part is really where Europa Cinema expertise comes to the front, because the knowledge of the local and national networks of cinemas and the relationship that's been established with all of you over the years really helps to bring more details about you, about your cinemas, about your local context to the selection committee, who's then gonna evaluate those applications. And as you can see, the selection committee is composed of 5 professionals with no involvement with member cinema of the network, so we ensure impartiality here. It is very important. So last year, 15 exciting projects were selected, coming from 13 countries. And I'm just going to show you a list of this project. So it's important that you see that they are quite diverse. And what is interesting also on this slide is you can see really the scale of the project is quite diverse. You have very small projects with 3 cinemas, and you can have a project with 26 partner cinemas. So you really have the liberty here to create the partnerships you want and build the project that's going to make a difference for you in your area or transnationally. This project covers different topics that you can see here. Social inclusion, obviously, film literacy, developing audiences and more importantly, young audiences, technical innovation, environment sustainability, and again, as I mentioned before, developing exhibitor skills. In 2022, we had the second edition of Collaborate to Innovate. So the call for application started in January and ended in March, end of February. And to prepare for that, we had this one, a big workshop with over 120 participants, and it was simultaneously translated in 5 languages again. So we were really happy to see that. I know, I had mine too. So from these 28 applications that we received coming from 18 countries, 13 projects were selected by our selection committee that was held on May 3rd. And among these 13 projects, we had 5 international ones, which is I'm really excited about because it is a growing number compared to last year. And this year, the total support amount is over 162,000 euros. Here is a list of the selected project this year. And this year we don't have as many projects with so many participating cinemas, but what is interesting is that the different topics addressed is a bit more diverse, and we have still projects about developing audiences and young audiences, but we also have interesting experiments with VR cinemas. We have also projects who are experimenting with the cinema going experience, which I think is a really important topic that we're going to discuss in the coming days, I believe. And the cinema experience is really what brings people to your theater. So we had one about the food offering. We had some about how you can highlight the historical background of the actual theater. So some really interesting things this year, and we're really excited about them. Before I go, I just we can't communicate on date yet, but stay tuned for future announcements regarding Collaborate to Innovate 2023, and particularly we will hold an online workshop after the summer to help you prepare for the next call for application. And also I'm always available for all of you. You have my email address by now, so you can contact me anytime you want if you have any question about the program and how we can help you prepare. And now I'm going to leave the floor to 4 exhibitors who are representing projects selected in 2021. And I don't want to steal their thunder, so they'll be the one who's going to explain to you in details the collaborative process and all the challenges and experiences they have to share with you today.
Okay, so we start with Marlene.
This is the remote.
Okay.
Click to the next. And now you should be full screen pretty soon. Oh, and please don't put it here because.
No, can I put it here?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Marlene. I'm from Filmcasino in Vienna, Austria, and I'm here to talk about the live stream collaboration network project, a long title. And before I talk more about how this project works, I'm going to show you a list of our project partners because, as we have heard from Florian, this is a collaboration and a group effort to bring this project to life. These are our project partners. They're all different Austrian art house cinemas that are located in different cities in Austria, and you can see the name of the cinema, the city they're in, and the person responsible for that cinema. Well, our initial idea behind this project was, of course, to bring the audience back to art house cinema. As we all know, that can be a struggle. And many Austrian art house cinemas had and still have very low audience numbers. And we at Filmcasino, for example, but also our other partner cinemas like Stadtkino, also already had a lot of experience and success with offering more than just regular screenings. We are planning a lot of special screenings and events to go with them, like premiere parties or film discussions. So we kind of thought about how to take that to the next level and how to be able to share our experience and our success with other cinemas in a way that all the partner cinemas as well as the audience can benefit from. We also wanted to increase accessibility to these kinds of events and move away from what I called Vienna centrism here, because I'm sure that's the case in other countries as well, that there's a focus on the capital, but we don't want anyone to feel like they're missing out on something just because they're not in this one city, and every cinema in every part of the country should be able to offer an interesting experience to their audience. The project works with live stream technology to share something that is happening in one location to multiple other screens and multiple other audiences. And our goal was to create an experience that is as interactive as possible. So the audience at all of the screening rooms would be able to, for example, ask a filmmaker who is present at one cinema a question, and they would receive the same feedback they could if they were in the same room, to just increase that feeling of being at a special event and of sharing this experience with many people. The setup we need for this is relatively simple. We got a camera and we used already existing streaming software and other hardware that most cinemas probably already have, like cables and stuff to have audio, which is why it's also relatively easy to expand the network, because the cinemas that want to participate don't need that much. And we have an external partner who is responsible for this technical setup in all Austrian cinemas. And we would suggest that as well if we were to expand to other countries. The first time we utilized our setup was at the premiere of Quo Vadis Aida in 2021. And we live streamed the premiere and the Q&A with the director, which was happening at Filmcasino, to 2 other partner cinemas in other Austrian cities. And for this first screening, we used YouTube as our streaming software, which took away this possibility of interaction, because you can just stream like one way. And if you want the audience to be able to ask questions, you need to have like a WhatsApp chat or something for that. So afterwards, we started using Zoom, and it's kind of like a big Zoom meeting. You can have, like there's no limit as to how many screens you can share with each other. Yeah, and as it's to be expected, if you have like a technical setup like this, we sometimes had smaller issues like with the audio or video quality, but overall we could solve all of those. And the bigger challenge was the delay we experienced due to COVID regulations and lockdowns, because we had to adapt our expectations to how fast this project could grow and how many screenings we could realize. And the audience numbers in many Austrian art house cinemas are still quite low, so many cinemas don't take on the role of the host. And if we do so, it's a little more one-sided than we would like it to be, because there's just less potential for interaction if there's just a few people sitting on the other side. And it also makes it less attractive if you have like filmmakers present and you show them another screening room and there's like 2 people. So that's kind of a challenge. Another thing to keep in mind if you do things like this is that it needs a preparation time, because sometimes we, when we were planning film discussions and we got really interesting guests and potential to have successful screenings, they confirmed on very short notice. And by then it was too late to plan the screening with the partner cinemas, because they had their program already. So yeah, those were a few challenges we encountered, but I think all in all, it's really nice to have that setup available and to just have it as an option to enhance your programming. And obviously you can save travel costs, you can save time, and it's also more environmentally friendly and accessible than having guests or your audience travel a lot, because many people just are not able to travel to have this experience. And that's what we want to offer. Yes. Thank you.
Okay. Very nice and very much on time. Thanks for that. Should we have a discussion? Questions now? Well, actually, I have. Yeah, stay here, please. I have one question. That's all events that you or the cinema sets up, or are you also in contact with the festival, like transmitting some festival premiere screening or anything?
We have not done that yet. So for now, it was only events at the cinemas, but that would definitely be a possibility. Yes.
Okay. So, other questions from you? Anybody? Please.
Thank you for the presentation. It's very interesting, even if I know about the project. This is a project which is easily makeable somewhere else. What would you recommend, perhaps from the start, or the kind of cooperation, how you find the partners and so on?
Yeah, I think it was not hard for us to find partner cinemas, because those are all cinemas that we were in contact with like regularly, so we know each other. And I think a way to go would be if you have like an art house cinema association in your country, to do it over that. That would be my suggestion.
Yeah. But I think a good outcome of the whole COVID situation might be that these things are really getting becoming normal now, and I think distributors also already adapted ideas like this. So I think that might be a good outcome of the crisis. Okay, anybody else? Otherwise, we will just move on and go to Stephen. Thanks, Marlene.
Thank you.
Okay, great. Okay, guys, I'm here to talk about a very similar innovative project. We coined it Hybrid Futures for European Cinemas, but the working title has been The Container. It's a project we developed during COVID for obvious reasons. We found ourselves in a situation, obviously, where we all of a sudden needed to have online content, and we obviously don't have online platforms ourselves. The project was founded with 15 independent cinemas in the Netherlands, for which I represent one. The project has been developed and is pretty much implemented now. So we call it the container. What it basically means is a platform we've scripted ourselves and with the help of a technical party. And it contains all these elements that you see in front of you. It's basically what you realize when you present online programming is that often you found yourself working with separate parties. But we have come up with a project where we integrated all these elements in our own platform. So it has a embedded video function, it has a live stream function, it has a chat function, but it's also a video on demand platform, and it helps us. It helps the audience to stay in the same familiar surroundings, so they never have to leave for YouTube or anything, and it also gives us the possibility to integrate the actual film provided by a distributor. So what you see here is one of the events I helped organize. It's a screening of the Dutch documentary Housreach with the filmmaker Oeke Hogendijk, who is a Dutch filmmaker. The film was very apt for a trial event because she made a documentary about her mother who's secluded to her home. So her mom hasn't left the house in, I think, 30 years. So our audience was able to come to the screening, but also watch it at home. It's a largely successful event in which we've trial and tested many of these technologies. Other locations have had similar trial events, including many of the major festivals in the Netherlands. So IFFR, ITVA, NFF, all those festivals have integrated the technology in their website. Here you see that it can also link to a Vimeo embedded video, so it doesn't have to be your own video player. Here are some more examples of how that can look like. You can also integrate, for example, Zoom technology if you want to have the opportunity to live chat via Zoom. And on the top right, you see Pickle, which is a Dutch video on demand platform, which we are now in discussion with to offer all their content directly to the service. We have generally done, most of the partner locations have done events or have set up the technology in a way that they can execute it quickly. I think one of the big challenges with the project has been that we had 15 individual cinemas with 15 individual cinema managers and 5 different ticketing systems and many people involved. So it was quite a struggle to get everyone to do it their part, basically. But we see a lot of possibilities for the project in the future with schools and educational programming and festivals. We can do premiere events, have a Q&A with a director in one location and stream it and show it across the country. So all in all, it's been a quite successful project. I think I am much quicker than I was supposed to be, so maybe I'll just leave it here.
That's fine. Yeah. Also, well, let me start with the question. There, of course, is something you can call the sofa trap. So people not coming to your movie theater anymore. So how do you see this technology? Is it more about extending your programming, or is it more about connecting to your patrons and keeping them involved, and perhaps then getting them to come back? What's the focus for you?
Yeah, I think it originally initiated in COVID times, so there was a clear advantage of why we started it, and now we have to find a way to make it part of the actual programming. But I see it personally as a virtual room that allows us to extend on programming we have. So if you have a festival, you can have additional films on there that are not in the screening room, or you can have Q&As with directors. But I think the strength is that locations individually can join in on sessions, or they can share it on their website or in their cinema. So it really helps you offer content together.
Okay. That's a question.
What about the ticketing? I mean, if you share the content, like, who is paid?
So maybe I rushed through parts of this presentation a little. Basically, the idea is that people go to the website they're used to going. So they go to the website of your own cinema. So the complete surrounding won't change. They can buy tickets through the regular ticket shop on your website, just like they would for any other movie. But they're just sent to the virtual room, and the ticketing system works exactly the same as any other film would.
Do you implement some kind of geo-blocking, or do you limit it to members of your cinema, or just to anybody?
The technology allows geo-blocking to be switched off, but it is set on the Netherlands for copyright reasons.
Of course, yeah.
I have a question. We have similar website on now in Poland, but I'm curious. 2 questions. What is the percentage of art house cinema that are on this website in scale of country? And the second question is it profitable? Are you coming out even? Because I know in Poland there are some cinemas that profit from it or breaking even, but there are, like, I don't know, 30 cinemas on this website and 40, okay, and some of them are from smaller cities and don't have such strong communities, so they are not being picked by the visitors.
I think if I understand your question correctly, these are all obviously European cinema network theaters, so they're all independent art house theaters. They are from mostly smaller places across the Netherlands, some bigger cities, but it's very spread out through the Netherlands.
But do all cinemas in Netherlands come to the website, or are there some that didn't participate in this?
Oh, yeah. So far, it's been limited to the 15 cinemas that filed the application. But obviously, the technology is very easy to also allow other cinemas to use it. How many are there in the Netherlands? I don't know that from the top of my head. Well, I think maybe 60. I actually don't know.
Well, we as Lumière Cinema didn't participate in this project. I think for 2 reasons. One, we thought it was too early to do something expensive like this, because it was really expensive, I think. We were afraid we were going to shoot ourselves in the foot. And secondly, I think in the sense of geography, Maastricht is very isolated from the rest of the Netherlands. We have different themes and topics that appeal to our audience in some senses. So that's why we decided to wait and maybe step in later. And also,
yeah, please do.
Yeah, we'll see. You were convincing with this one, then.
I have a question. So I presume that analytic is very transparent, and each member sees exactly who is coming from where to what cinema. So this is not even a question. But the question is, collaborate to innovate. One of the aims is that the projects are developed in a way that other countries can potentially benefit. So how can we benefit from it?
I mean, you could benefit in a sense that, for example, if ITFA would host an event on this container platform and you can't yourself physically go to Amsterdam, you can then join in online for any Q&As or screenings.
But for instance, if you would like to get this system because the software is already done, maybe other cinemas would like to have it that cannot afford this expensive process, because I think that the most difficult part of the project was programming the system that would include all of this into one platform. So that is something that was the most expensive thing. And I'm sure that a lot of countries or cinemas, there's no way that could afford such a thing. Is there a concept for how that might work for the
well, we plan to share, of course, the results. I mean, the contracts, 2021 contracts are finishing now, the end of June this year. You know, they had 1 year running, and then they will send the results, and we are going to share case studies and present these case studies on our website and in different pitching sessions during the fall, and at a conference in Paris beginning of December. I mean, Europa Cinema Conference I'm talking about. And what you talk about, the, let's say, the technique, the things, the idea, it's not, let's say, in the package. You know, they're going to share it, but I know,
because it's intellectual property now.
Yes,
it's
exactly.
like developed. It's a new thing. It's like a new system.
But to be clear, there was a big workload for individual internet developers for each website to integrate in our own website. So there, for all the locations, there was quite a lot of work to be done still.
Just to pick up on what Medka was saying, I think one good example of a project doing what you're describing, Medka, is the Cineville project. Yeah. So where you had a really established project in the Netherlands, which then got integrated into Brussels thanks to Collaborate to Innovate, and there was an element of some bits you can share and some bits you can't. Like you've just described, this was very bespoke to those cinemas. And we're at the really early stage of understanding what is IP, what's easily transferable, but the concept is transferable, and the learnings of it are transferable.
And Cineville, for example, there was 2 examples. One has been supported in Belgium last year, and one has been supported in Austria this year. And they both, I mean, they didn't pay the full package of Cineville because of the experience they already had in the Netherlands, and they had in Belgium, and so I think this is something which is perhaps will be developed all over Europe, and adapted, because Cineville Netherlands is not the same as Cineville Belgium, or will not be the same as Cineville Austria, just the name of the company behind it. But I mean, that's why we are here as well, to help and finance cinemas to launch this kind of initiatives. Thanks to the European Commission. We have to really stress that. No, really, they've been supportive since the beginning, and they've been supported all over the COVID times.
Just to say, because I've been involved in Europa Cinemas now for many years, it's the first time ever that the Commission has actually taken a risk. Yeah. So it's the first time they're actually funding innovation. In all those years that they've been talking about innovation, there's never been a fund which has allowed cinemas to do something in the future. All the money has been retrospective. So the money you get for your programming is at the end of the year. So this is a really huge, huge step in terms of funding, and it's a real opportunity for us all to kind of jump in there and ask for more money next time. if we can do good projects and show that it works.
Okay, so let's hear about 2 more projects, and afterwards we can perhaps do more general talk. Thanks to you. And we have Oskar. Yeah.
So as you heard, my name is Oskar. I'm from Tartu Elektriteater, which is in Estonia, and us and 3 other Estonian cinemas have created a new collective innovative software for small size cinemas. I think it's the longest title, so I think you have a pretty good idea what we did. But yeah, a little about the idea. So since you all run cinemas, you probably know that there's a lot of programs you need to use. So pretty much since we started our cinema, we had to use Excel for reports and statistics, homepage to show programs to our visitors, and Google Calendar to actually program it before, and some others maybe, or yeah, actually the ticketing software. So from the beginning, we started to look if is there a software to do everything, because more softwares you use, the more data you need to share between those. So it's a lot of more work. For example, if you make a program, you have to enter it to the homepage and then also to the ticketing software. So that's with one software we could save that time, and the more time you save, the better cinema you can make. The more movies you can watch, the more curated programs you can make, and also cool projects. And since we had the idea for years, we shared it with others, and surprise, surprise, everyone had the same problems. So it was really easy for us to collaborate with this project, since we had the same goal, make good software, and we were in the leading role, and the others inputted with their experience, because we had 4 cinemas and 3 different softwares. 2 used a large multiplex system. We used an event system. Before we had our own system, but since it was with undesignated seats. But when COVID came, we had to show the government in case there was a how do you call it, a COVID outburst, that who sat next to who. But we, because thanks to that, we managed to stay open, so it was actually good. So we had a lot of experience, because when you create the software yourself, you think, oh, that's a logical way to do it since you created it. But when you have a lot of input, then there's people say, oh, it's not logical. We used it in this system and it drives us crazy. It doesn't work. So it helps to eliminate some of those problems. And also a lot on testing. Because of COVID, we didn't manage to get together for a lot. But then we had Zoom sessions. So we gave them a task to do in the software, and they said like how did it feel to them? What would they do differently? And really optimizing the experience by doing that. And key learnings. We actually have a working program. Yay. We've been using it for 6 months in our cinema, and it works really well. We're really happy about it. And the key learnings is that IT projects are constantly behind schedule. Most of you probably have your own homepage, so you know, like making it was probably really cumbersome, took a lot more time than expected. So we're also a little bit behind the schedule. We were planning to have the project finished by now, but we actually start testing. So all the cinemas have a testing period to get to know the system, but unfortunately it's, yeah. And we also did a large market research with 60 cinemas across Europe from 11 different countries. And we found out that the problems we have are not only in Estonia. So maybe raise your hand if you're not happy with your ticketing software and would like to change it. I was hoping for more, but yeah. But yeah, the same problems were raised, like a lot of Excel sheets. They had to spend a lot of time on reports, European cinemas, distributors. So actually it's 2022. We have a lot, you can now automate a lot of this process. so you don't have to do it. For now, we have just an automated letter that you have to copy and send to the distributor. In the future, we were hoping to have an automated process so you don't actually have to do it at all. And also lack of statistics. So when you use different programs, then it's really hard to have a same ID for the visitors. So you can't actually see statistic like about the visitors. And yeah, the software, the market research showed us that there's a real problem that we're trying to solve, and we're doing the right thing apparently. And there's a lot of interest in the market, but also that there's a long way to go. The collective innovation helped us to get through the door, make the 1.0 version. But since it's quite local to Estonia, like there's more, the reports different from country to country, the payments differ, then we need to adapt to those. But we're really keen to do it. And yeah, hopefully we'll share the software with you if you're interested. I think that's it. Oh yeah, sorry. Some advice for you. It's very easy to collaborate. Estonia is a small country, so we actually knew all of the people before, but that some of them were more actively speaking, and this project actually gave us a chance to communicate much more. So even when we had done the sessions, we stayed along in the Zoom chat for half an hour, just to talk about the same problems we had, distributors, coronavirus, everything, and it really helped us to bring us together, and we're really happy that it did. Also, wouldn't do it again along everyday tasks. It's a lot of work, and especially in COVID times, there's the situation is moving a lot. So we would recommend a special person to run the project and not to do it after you do all the other things you do. And that's the last one. Thank you.
So, thank you very much. Let me just ask, how do you see the software to evolve further? Will there be a company who runs it, who pays for it in the long run after it's implemented? You probably won't run it as a cinema for the future, or is
well,
that
actually,
the plan?
we thought running it through the cinema, so it's a good way to reference our income. So we're a small cinema in a small city, and when we don't want to show commercial films or sell popcorn, then there's pretty much two options. You start your own distribution company, or you do something else.
Okay.
We tried the distribution company. One movie was great, other one was not so much. So we thought we'd try something else.
Okay. And do you think about expanding to other countries? Or
Yeah,
is it
from the market research and word of mouth, we actually have a long waiting list of people who are make the software we want it. So there's a real demand, because there isn't a lot of programs for small cinemas. They're usually designed for theaters or events, so they're either old, they were developed like 10 years ago, so they're quite cumbersome, or they're quite expensive for one screen cinema.
Okay.
To answer to what's been said about the challenge that the amount of work that it represents, and you said like you won't do it again doing your regular work. If you want to apply to collaborate to innovate, you really need to think about how you're going to distribute the work, and don't hesitate to because you'll see if you go through the process, there's actually a budget line for staff cost, and don't hesitate to dedicate that to a special coordinator who's going to help you manage the project, because it's really hard to do it on your own. And I know it's a different type of work than what you might usually be doing, so it's hard to have a sense of the amount of work it will be, so don't underestimate that. And actually the funding allows you to build a strong team to do it, so don't be afraid.
And 20% of the budget can be allocated to staff costs. So it's not like, you know, a small amount of money. You can really cover it with the support we give you.
Okay. So are there more questions? Oh yeah, here.
You mentioned that before you were using like Excel, Google Calendar, and ticketing software or something. And how does that are you using some of the tools still, or does that I don't know, make obsolete one of them? Because I know how I'm working on Google Calendar, then I'm putting the repertoire into ticketing system, and then I'm synchronizing to website. So what is your process now?
We have a calendar in the ticketing software where you can first make a draft and then publish later. We made it look quite a lot like Google Calendar, so it would be an easy transition. And the ticketing software communicates through API with the home pages, so it is only one input that you need to do. And also the selling of the tickets is through API, so it's a lot less work.
Okay. Did you have to deal with any legal requirements from the state? Like in Germany, we had some, I don't know, 20, 30 ticketing systems a couple of years ago, and then the distributors forced the ticketing systems to have a certification, and now we have, I think, 4 or 5, and all the others just vanished because for the e-ticketing we have very, very strict regulations, and also from the state, of course, for reports and everything. So that's not easy to implement at all.
Luckily not.
Okay, yeah.
So Estonia is quite tech savvy, so they really force us to innovate and thought of new ways to do the job we have easier and cheaper.
It might be really good to be in a small country for things like that, I think, but you don't have to deal with German bureaucracy. Yeah. Okay,
but you are using right now this system in your cinema fully?
Yeah, we've been using it since the end of December.
And do you have a date when it will be ready for the others?
So now the cinemas who were part of the project are testing it now, and then we have already one small cinema in Estonia who's going to take it, and hopefully from autumn we're going to expand to the other countries outside Estonia.
Is it in English?
Right now it's in Estonian, but we're gonna translate to all of the local languages.
Okay, cool. Waiting.
Okay. Yeah, thanks a lot.
Thank you.
And last but not least, there's Jéremie.
E che vedi quanto ci mettono, terribile.
Bonjour.
Buon pomeriggio, sorry, good afternoon. So now you can listen to, it's okay, listen to the translation into English. I'm here to present our project called Passerelle. In French, it means a bridge, if you like. We want to build up a bridge in between the art houses and social structures and facilities to help them to make the best possible choices film-wise. Why? I've been working at Cinema Studio in Tours in France. That's a city you have to visit. And I've been saying for a long time that we never see people coming to our art house from popular parts of the city. And these people normally don't have access to information, so they are not made aware of our own kind of work in our own kind of theaters. So we have several aspects to be considered to have this result. So the art houses are not really highly supplied with technical media. These art house is considered as an elite theater, is different from the commercial ones that people normally know. And very often this kind of people don't feel at ease with our theaters and also with films with subtitles. So to attract this new kind of audience, we started to meet the animators from social centers, but we think that they themselves are not fully aware of our own art house work and films. But we succeeded to convince them that they could send us groups of people from those disadvantaged areas, and this would allow us to better live together and improve our common knowledge. So we invited these animators of the social centers to show them our films, to see the aspects that could be interesting to them, especially meeting the needs of the inhabitants of these parts of Tours, this city. So after several months devoted to meetings at local level, we decided to launch this initiative at a national level, because we know that this situation is shared by all French art houses and maybe a lot of European art houses. So this sort of gap in between the art houses and the popular residential areas has been confirmed by the Centre National de la Cinématographie research work that proved that art houses are mostly attended by richer people, more affluent people. So we have decided to try and work with the social operators, distributors and exhibitors, so that they could help us present new films every month. And this site presents 3 to 4 months per month, and there are also workshops where there can be simply a Q&A time, or we might invite an organization or artist to come and take part in it. So the underlying idea is facilitating visits from social centers. This site was opened in June 2022, and it started presenting all new films, and is going to be increasingly richer based on the new releases every Tuesday. We chose to work on films accessible to a high number of people with very wide topics that can be interesting to a lot of people. And we also want to deal with cinema and theater issues. First results we've obtained are very encouraging, because we have gone over the priorities of social operators after, of course, the COVID-19 problems. We had the possibility of really allowing social operators to connect with us, with the nearby houses, and to come. So if you have seen that once you are interested in them, the animators and the audience are really eager to connect with us. And we have seen that the debates are very rich. Our internet site is ready, and our partners have been very enthusiastic in this. It's a new thing, started in June, but we cannot yet assess the attendance rates. So you can see here that's a film that we have supported since December 2021, OF4. That's a title, and we were able to invite young people's groups, and we organized also Q&A sessions after the screening. And in June we chose 2 French films that have been released recently recently. One is called Le Goût et les Couleurs, the other one, OF4. So these films have a wide range of viewers, large audiences. For example, you can see this on this website, how this film is presented. You can see this film card and then some proposals for further workshops and how you can watch this film at the nearest art house in your neighborhood, possibly. So what really works is, first of all, that distributors and social centers were interested, and that's very important. Distributors are really happy because they can address their films to new types of audiences, and also social centers are extremely interested. So we found a real interest in our partners. What doesn't work yet is that the website has been completed very, very recently. We have to complete it to make it really attractive to social centers, to make it fully useful. So, language is very important because French people are not used to watching foreign subtitled films, so it's difficult for us to propose films that are not French. OF4 is a film shot in Morocco, and there we have a lot of Arabic-speaking people, so they are very prone and happy to watch this kind of films. As to long-term impact, the direct impact is increasing attendance in theaters and also creating new audience in priority neighborhood, having a new type of audience. And this allows us to open up to new audience and to take diversity into account, to be more inclusive. We can also talk about an impact on sustainability, because normally we have proximity art houses. You can just go and watch a film and reach your art house on foot, so that's very green approach, and the art house substitutes the center of city, if you like, in a way. So we have worked with 3-4 other art houses in France and several distributors. So our suggestions to start this project, collaborating to innovate, is contacting the different partners and have regular contacts with them. That's very important for the dynamics of the project, to have a full involvement of our partners. Of course, this was possible following the end of the pandemic, because a lot of meetings had to be annulled. It is more difficult to talk about this new project through Zoom platform. So we think we have to work on common cards so that each participant can have access to all the tools that are now at hand. I also think that these days that we are experiencing now are a very good opportunity for us to have new projects emerge, because we are here and we are face to face. We can discuss very well, and we can share a lot of things, and we really have to grab this opportunity to be successful. So we are very happy that this project could come to light, and this is, if you like, is a new recovery. So we are very happy, and it's also a way for us to let different generations come closer. We've seen that, and we can give our partners the opportunity to open up to others, and we can really participate in leading a better life all together. So we have been glad to be giving our own contribution. Thank you.
I think I can answer in English, but make it simple.
Okay, we try. So thanks a lot. I'm not sure if I completely understood. So are you more a partner of the distributors to like a marketing platform, or do the cinemas really subscribe to what you do and show all the movies, or what you're in between distributors and cinemas, right? But are you more the partner of the distributors or more the partner of the cinemas?
Both.
Both.
Yeah.
Okay. But does the cinema sign up to show all the films you promote?
No, it's completely free.
Okay.
But we will work with exhibitors, and they'll in a few months, I hope they will pay to see their film on the site.
Okay.
Okay. And we'll work in our way to promote and to invent workshops and all the things around the movie.
Okay. So are there more questions from you? Yeah, okay.
I was thinking, are you not afraid that the social center, we just use the website and then they will take the movie on VOD and show the young audience into the social center and not going to the cinemas?
We are making, how do we say, we work with them, and they have understand that to go to the cinema was really important, and no, we are not afraid of that. We think that the moment they come and the moment they debate after the movie is really important, and the few occasions we had show it. And for example, we had an old woman who was 70 years old, more, went for the first time on the cinema. She was seeing a movie in the cinema for the first time. It was very touching, and so she came back another time with the group because she loved it. And I think that when they discover that possibility, it's for them it's less interesting to see it in the center in a bad situation. I hope.
Okay. Florian?
Thank you. So the goal is to bring these people who don't have the culture of cinema going, and it's quite a success so far, and it's really exciting. What feedback did you get from your regular audience so far, who is more older, wealthier, and how do they interact with this new demographics, and who's coming to your place now?
At this moment, the groups are a little small, but maybe they didn't see this new audience. But I think they are very, very open-minded, and they are really interested in to see what the cinema do for everybody. And in this.
So do you believe it's going to bring a synergy between this population who usually don't mingle or cohabitate?
Yes, I think because we had put the suspended ticket and a few months ago, and it's a very big success. The people let the money, and they know why they do that. So I think it's good for us.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Should we continue to talk about collaborative Innovate?